What's up, guys? Let's get ready with me. So usually I have music R&B on, but I figure I would do a mic'd up session. And so I don't know if mic'd up sessions are a thing anymore, but I figure a lot of people were asking about warm-ups and stuff like that, and I figure it's always good to have a good reasoning. Why are you doing warm-ups? Because the thing is, warming up in general is okay, but you want to have specific goals to why you're warming up. Warming up, you don't want to just stretch the muscle just to stretch it, because again, you lose power. You don't want to just warm up just to warm up, just because you're gonna run out of time. Especially for me, I'm training right before I go to work, and we are, what is it? It's like 7 o'clock in the morning, not too bad. Drinking Pepsi because that is my pre-workout of choice. Now, I'll usually do some kind of pre-workout, but I've noticed that, again, I'm super sensitive to pre-workout and caffeine. And caffeine, usually that stuff has some crazy amount, like 250 milligrams of caffeine. Pepsi has 38 in a can, which is going to be plenty for me. If not, I also have a backup Pepsi just in case. Sometimes I'll do Mountain Dew because, go crazy with it. It's funny because I do have creatine in my shaker cup here, so Pepsi and creatine is my go-to choice. Now the downside is that we don't get any neurotropics, fancy like words for kind of concentration juju, right? Like huperzine is usually in pre-workout. Other stuff like beta-alanine gives you all that tingling, you're on crack kind of, or meth actually, right? Peel off your skin kind of thing. But let's get ready. So unfortunately I did have my microphone, but stupid me, I didn't charge it. So we are going to go musicless, and that's okay because I can listen to anything while I train, to be honest. Because usually when you're under big heavy loads, giggity, you will not even hear, at least for me, I do get tunnel vision where I can just concentrate on not dying. I don't usually hear the music as I do my workout, in between of course, but if anything, hopefully this will either be on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I have noticed that my main social media is Instagram, and so with Instagram, it's a hit or miss, because the thing is, they're pretty much my clients that I get from Instagram. Because again, I'm a strength and conditioning coach along with a physical therapist, and also I'm a fucked up physio. What I mean by that is, I have my aches and pains here and there as well. If you're flying close to the sun, you definitely will burn a couple feathers, and it is a little embarrassing when I get injured because I'm supposed to be a physical therapist, but the thing is, sometimes even elite athletes like me will get injured. And so you could do everything right, you can warm up perfectly right, just shit happens. And so what I was saying with having Instagram as my main social media is that I've noticed that a lot of my clientele that comes from YouTube and Instagram, we're a little on the older side, and I do have to keep up with the times in order to make sure that my clientele I have enough clientele, right? Because I've noticed lately that some of my clientele they're quitting, and they've been with me for, I don't know, 5-7 years as their coach. And the thing is, I don't blame them, because the thing is, they're trying to get a house. So a lot of my clientele right now are buying houses, and I am a luxury, right? I'm not cheap, but health is wealth, right? We want to make sure that we can continue to keep training hard, but the problem is that I am on the bottom of the totem pole. So when it comes to warming up, I got my insert sleeves on. They're not crazy tight. I do have two kinds of insert sleeves, and one of them is like, they're the same size, large I believe, but these are super broken actually. I think there's actually some rips going on here, and so my other pair that's brand new, those are super tight, and I'm low-key scared that I'm gonna get stuck in them. So I would need like a brother-in-law to help me out, or stepbrother to help me take out my knee sleeves because I'm stuck. And so Pepsi, let's see. I'll start to talk about my warm-up. The problem with this, the problem with not knowing if I'm gonna put this on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok, I haven't started a TikTok yet, but this might be it, is that I'm filming in portrait mode. And so if I'm filming in portrait mode, if I put this on YouTube, it's gonna suck, but maybe shorts, but so far I have not been talking very shortly. This is kind of a long video, but let's talk about getting warmed up. So what I mean about, so when I have a client that is either a strength training, powerlifter, even just general rehab itself, I want to make sure that their stretch is going to be specific to them, because we can stretch all we want, we can warm up all we want, but we want to maximize our time in the gym. So when I'll do a general warm up. So when we look at my warm up, I'll go through it. Might as well just talk as I warm up, because I am going to warm up to a relatively heavier squat today. And so right now I'm doing world's greatest stretch. And so why would you put something like this into your clients or your own personal program for warming up? It's because it's good hip mobility. It's a general warm-up altogether. The key thing here is that I am trying to get as low to the floor, so I'm getting a lot of hip flexion, a lot of rotation, thoracic rotation and movement, just getting warmed up overall. And you can see I'm trying to sit really low into my world's greatest world's greatest stretch, I think, right? And so when it comes to that, I want to make sure that everything is opening up, because again, I want to get in a specific squat position in order for me to keep tight into the positions that I'm trying to get into. That's why I would stretch specific things in order to achieve specific positions. Then from there, we want to get strong in those specific positions. So then I would go out, and then I'm personally stretching out. I don't know if you can see that. Stretching out my calves by doing a nice little pumping action. Now, the thing is, when you're stretching calves specifically for the squat, we want to make sure that it's the soleus muscle that we're stretching, because when we're down in that squat position, your knees are going to travel forward in a bent knee position. So we're not going to need to stretch the gastrocnemius, fancy words for the top of that calf, in order for us to achieve that specific squat position and depth that we want. So that's why when I'm here, I'm really focusing on bending my toes up and leading with my heel down with my knees bent. And so that's going to help out get those different positions. And then from there, I'll do kind of an extension, like almost a prone press up or a cobra position, depending if you are into yoga. I probably didn't name that yoga position correctly, but just opening up, kind of stretching out, getting generally warmed up. In this position, I like to isometrically spread the floor, because that is what I'm going to be doing in the squat as well. And from there, I'm kind of using my ab muscles in order for me to create a smaller, shorter spine. What I mean by short spine is that usually when people are squatting, they want to have their, they tend to have their ribs up. I want their ribs down, because if we can create a shorter moment arm is the perpendicular distance between the line of force and the axis of rotation. Fancy words for, I want to get short in order for me not to get bent over, giggity. Meaning that if I have a bowling ball, right, it's easier to hold the bowling ball here compared to here. Why is that any different than when I go low bar? I'm making my low bar even lower bar, if that makes sense. And so when I have my ribs down, I like to cue my clients to have their glutes braced tight so then you can lock everything in instead of having that arch, because eventually when you're at the bottom of the hole, you're gonna basically butt wink, and a lot of people, very controversial with the butt wink. I don't overthink it. I just say continue to keep locking in that position, because it's gonna be better to be in the locked position, even if it's in flexion moment rather than flexion movement. You don't want to tuck in through that full range of motion with 500 plus on your back. I'll do some stretches there, pull apart. This now is my general warm-up where I'm going to get into these specific positions. This is one of my favorite squat positions because, again, you can do this anywhere. A lot of oldie lifters like to put the bar on their knees, but for me, I want to not have to worry about the bar. I actually use my weight into my elbows, into the top of my knee, and you can see I'm getting a nice stretch there. And I'll just go back and forth. I actually like doing this throughout the day because, again, you don't need any equipment. You don't need a barbell. All you need is just to drop it like it's hot kind of thing. And so for me specifically, I do like to focus on my left side. I do have a history of Brown's cord syndrome, basically a spinal cord injury, not even from lifting, right? For those who follow me, you guys know that I injured my neck jumping on the trampoline with my kids, but it wasn't even like a big traumatic injury. I didn't fall on my face and scorpion or anything like that. Just tried to dunk on the 20-foot basketball rim and then just felt pain in my arm, and eventually I had multiple sclerosis-like symptoms. Anyways, that's probably another video. But here, I'm concentrating on moving the knee forward in order for me to achieve that bottom of that position of the squat. Now, when I have clients, typically you want to, if you do, how do we know that it's your calf muscle rather than your structure of your ankle, right? The actual joint. Well, that's the thing, is that if I go up to a wall and then I try to touch the wall, having my foot back, where do I feel that limitation? Do I feel it in the back? Then that's gonna be more muscular. Do I feel it in the front? That's more of a joint issue. So if it was a joint issue, then I would do a banded ankle mobility drill in order for me to kind of take advantage of gliding back my talocrural joint in order for me to get more dorsiflexion. Fancy words for it's going to stretch the actual joint and the capsule rather than the muscle that is not the limiting factor. Also, rule of thumb, if you pull back, typically you're looking at 8 to 10 centimeters from the wall, and you should be able to touch. Now, if you're in Ollie shoes, you're gonna be able to have more knee travel because your heel is lifted. For me, I do have pretty good ankle mobility, so it's not really a issue of trying to gain it, just issue of trying to maintain it. And then for me, this is where I start to get a little bit more dynamic. I like to go into this squat kind of like a little bit of a stripper squat, right? And the reason why I do that is because when I'm in the bottom of the hole, boom, I will do a stripper squat if my quads are on the weaker side, but I want to make sure that I am able to feel the weight and feel the groove, because sometimes when you do something, your body kind of knows what not to do. If you have that range of motion, if you have that access to that motion, it knows maybe not to be in that position. So with that being said, gotta work on the hips. Me specifically, I have a history of greater trochanter bursitis. Fancy words for my hips here are tender to touch from I don't know, I think maybe sleeping on my side. I am currently 208, not the heaviest person in the world, but I have noticed that when I do lay down on my side, I'm not the 100-pound dude I used to be. And this is why I like doing this one, just opening up the hips, making sure that everything is nice and mobile and all that blood flow is in that area. Again, greater trochanter pain can be a number of issues that, a number of factors that can show up. And so, you know, talking while doing this is harder than I thought, but yeah, we want to make sure all the hips are nice and mobile because the hip is a synovial joint. Synovial joint is fancy words for, it's a joint that has synovial fluid. Synovial fluid, you can think of it as nature's WD-40, and the more you move, or the more your joints sense that they move, the more it produces it. So, long story short, motion is lotion, rest is rust. Now, for me, I have pretty great hip mobility. If I had a client that had some issues going into the bottom of a squat, if they feel impingement or kind of pain in the front, that's where I would do a band mobilization thing in order for the surface of that hip to glide well, in order for you not to have that impingement feeling. I don't have that issue, so I'm not gonna do that because, again, that would be wasting my time when I can, you know, be doing something else like watching anime or something like that. But if anything, we want to continue to keep working the hips. For me, I also have great internal rotation. So normal internal rotation of the hip is about 35 to 45 degrees. I can do that. If you have issues getting into that internal rotation movement, most likely you're going to need a banded hip distraction. We'll probably get into that later, but you're following my workout or my warm-up. Again, when I'm doing this position, I'm stretching out the hip flexor, opening up everything, and just generally warming up. And again, all of this is relatively quick because the thing is, I've been lifting for 2 decades plus, and it's not about gaining mobility for me anymore. It's about maintaining my mobility and my end range strength. So I'm sure you've seen a lot of people do, like, they're called CARs, C-A-R, continuous articular rotations. You'll see people go bah, 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 right, over a block, boom. So the cool thing is, I actually like those, but sometimes it could be on the boring side, and it's one of those things where if they're not good at something, then they kind of obsess over it and try to do, they major in the minors is what I say. So if anything, I would increase it into something better. For me, I feel like doing end range motions where you're holding, such as this, right, for controlling the 90-90 lunges, right? We're holding those end positions like this right here. You're having that external rotation under load, and you're loading. You know, it looks, it's I guess more functional than if you were to actually do a CAR, right, a continuous articular rotation. Again, I think this has more bang for your buck. I don't have much time to train these days because of my kids. I gotta make sure that I am contributing as a father, and I'm not letting the morning routine all up to my wife, because I do have 3 kids, and yes, they are high maintenance. And so another one I like to do, hacky sack kicks, right? So I'm getting the internal, external rotation for each leg. And so again, it's not about gaining this range of motion at this point. It's about maintaining it and also kind of getting those muscles warmed up, because I will, after I do hacky sack kicks, I will like to hold these positions at end range, boom. Because end range is where the magic's at. That's why I tell my students all the time is that you want to train and mobilize the joint at end range positions, because that's where we're trying to affect the joint and maintain it, and also gain it, depending on if you are a rehab patient or even just trying to get nice and sexy mobility. I am out of breath as I talk. That's all right, because what else did I miss? I did 90-90 lunges. I think, oh, for me, squat, because I do squat in low bar position, I want to make sure that my arms are going to be able to achieve that position, because when it comes to low bar squatting, you are going to have it pretty low on the spine of your scapula. Sometimes if your arms don't have good mobility, your chest, your pecs, you don't have that reaching out, then your elbows are going to get the brunt of the force, because the force will go to the path of least resistance. What I mean by that is that a lot of people have elbow problems when they go low bar because they're not able to externally rotate. So after you regain it, so stretching, right? Stretching is gonna be okay to be in that position. You are losing power, but that's the thing, is that it's not upper body day. I'm trying to achieve body positions, especially yesterday I had upper body day, so I'm going to feel a little on the sore side getting into that position. But once I'm in that position, I wanna be able to do a wall glide. I'm not gonna mess with the camera, but imagine I'm behind a wall and I'm pushing into the wall, or in front of the wall, not behind the wall, excuse me. But you're pushing in back and you're going up and down. And again, we're just training that range of motion and range strength in order for us to get into that position and drop it like it's hot kind of thing without having elbow problems. So what you saw here for my upper body, I do this for my upper body. We'll probably do another video on this, but this is just me taking advantage of what physical therapists will call D1, D2 movements, where it's a combination of all the movements of flexion, external rotation, abduction, all of that all in one. When I go here and then here, internal rotation, extension, horizontal adduction, stuff like that. So you're creating this movement all in one smooth arc in order for you to maximize your time, because you can do individual movements, but again, we want to be specific to everything. So more Pepsi. I believe that was my general warm-up for now. Throughout my sets, when I work up to, I'll probably work up to easy 455 today for squats. I'll probably, in between squats, warm up more if I notice that things are a little on the tighter side. I'll also do some jump rope in between, just because I like jump rope. I don't like cardio, but I promised myself that I would never skip cardio if I got better from my spinal cord injury, and I am better. So I keep promises. I don't skip cardio. And the cool thing with jump rope, I like it. I actually like it. It's usually with cardio, instead of, if you're getting good at it, it takes you longer to do stuff, longer to run 20 miles. I used to be a long distance runner, believe it or not, when I was 100 pounds. But now it's easier, because once you're better at jump rope, you just learn another trick or another skill, or you go a little faster. So I feel like that's kind of cool. I like that. I think it looks badass, but again, you're talking to a meathead that likes anime, so it's almost like I'm learning a weapon. Other than that, let's call that video right there.